Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Searching for Success. I know that it's been about 6 months since I've released an episode, and I want to give you guys an update on why that was the case. But I am really excited to be back in this space, recording new episodes and releasing new episodes. So I'm really excited about that. These next two guests were recorded in the summer, this past summer, and honestly, I think they might be my very best guests to date. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear them. But the intros that I recorded for them were also recorded around the same time that I filmed them. So I wanted to make sure that I included a little bit of an update. So basically, right after I uploaded the last episode, which I think was in beginning of August. So pretty much right after I released the last episode, I got on a work gig that was so much fun, and I honestly feel like it was the turning point in all of my mindset stuff and everything that I had been going through for the previous year and a half. It was a work thing that was supposed to be about a month long that ended up being almost 2 full months long. And in the middle of that, it was also my 29th birthday. So on the day of my birthday, it was a little bittersweet. I had all of these emotions. Just overall, I was in a city pretty much by myself, and I had all of these, feelings about turning 29 and things I hadn't accomplished, the things I still wanted to accomplish, the typical birthday dilemma, drama stuff. But the next day, I kind of shifted entirely. It almost felt like a new page in the next chapter. And I really wanted to make sure that I don't spend this last year in my 20s focusing on all the things that don't really matter. The things that I've lost, the things I don't have, the things I don't have yet, things that I want. I mean, it was just really I don't know, it was a big change for me. And since then, I think I've been making a very conscious effort to be positive and be grateful for everything I have and remind myself of all the things that I do have and all the lessons that I've learned from all the bad things that have happened. I was also being bombarded by a lot of propaganda from Europe on social media of how people in Europe, when we get asked what it is that we do, we don't answer with our job title. We talk about our hobbies, the things that we enjoy doing, like cooking with our spouse or gardening. And I'm like, you know what? That's the way that it should be. I shouldn't be defined by the job that I have or the job that I do, but the things that I love that make me who I am. And so I just woke up feeling like I'm going to make sure that I'm just doing things that bring me joy, that make me feel good about myself. So that's what I've been working on for the past 6 months. And also, if you're watching, I'm not in the same space that I was in before. The previous spot was a fully furnished rental that was honestly really nice. I mean, the owners were fantastic, and the place was so cozy, kind of felt like we were in a treehouse. But after almost it was like a year and a half where Blaze and I were living pretty much out of a storage unit and with the bare necessities that we had. I was just ready for my own space. It kind of felt like I was living in someone else's universe, and that doesn't go well for me. Basically, after that trip, we kind of got into talking. We had some pretty big discussions, and we decided that we needed to get out of that space. Before my birthday, I was still kind of thinking that we could move somewhere. Georgia just didn't feel like home. We decided that we were going to stick to Georgia for a year and kind of see where that would take us. And we honestly found this place, this new rental that we have, and this is the first time that a house has ever truly felt like a home, outside of my childhood home, of course. It all just seemed like the right timing, and immediately after that were the holidays, so we spent a lot of time trying to furnish this home since my family was coming to visit. And so yeah, it's been really hectic, and I haven't had time to edit the episodes that I shot back in June, but here we are. It's January. I'm making sure that I come back into this space because upon all my reflections, this is something that I really do enjoy. Despite all the producing I'm getting to do in my work side of things, what I loved about what I was doing at my previous job was being able to interview people, hear their stories, share their stories, and I just am not getting that in any of my other jobs. They're fulfilling in their own ways, but one thing I really do miss is that aspect of it. So I'm coming back into 2025 with more episodes and just exciting things to come, hopefully, within this podcasting space. Again, I'm still not trying to I have no intentions of, making this my whole life or something crazy. It's just an outlet for me to do something that I really enjoy. I just hope that you guys are enjoying them. So enjoy. Today's guest is a friend that I worked with back in my old days of being in local television news. His name is Johnnie U. That is his stage name. That's what everyone knows him by. Maybe not everyone, but most everyone. He is a cameraman, very talented. He's a goofball, one of the most enthusiastic, happy human beings you will ever meet. And he recently, in the past 2 years, I believe, has started his own podcast called Mountain Bike Q&A. He's been mountain biking forever, but he decided that he needed a new creative outlet, which is what led him to podcasting. He is really funny, really entertaining. The episode has a lot of moments that are probably more exciting to see. So if you watch it on YouTube, you can kind of understand that his facial expressions are very expressive and fun. It was great. We had a really fun time with this episode. We talk about so many different things, how he went from dreaming of being an actor to then becoming a cameraman to then not having the same drive for something he was working on anymore, and now finding a lot of fulfillment and joy in doing this mountain biking podcast, all the new friends, this community that has embraced him wholeheartedly. So it's a really fun episode, and he gets, I don't want to say emotional because as you'll hear, he's not too emotional, but I took it as a huge compliment when he told me that like I'm bringing out all of these things out of him that he didn't expect, that he was nervous to even talk about. Definitely better to watch than to listen, just because he is so expressive and it's very entertaining to see. But even if you're just listening, he is fantastic, such a great human being. Listen to his podcast called Mountain Bike Q&A. But anyway, he is a good friend. I am so grateful that he agreed to be on this podcast. But without further ado, enjoy this next episode with Johnnie U.
You're going to ask me life questions, aren't you?
I am.
Oh my gosh. I'm used to just doing mountain biking. This is exciting being on this side. I've been on a few other podcasts and it's kind of fun.
I love it. I've never been a guest on a podcast, but it's been really fun interviewing all my friends and just other people who have never done it because it's so fun.
Yeah, it is. I got to tell. Well, we'll get into it.
I want to talk a little bit about how we met, because obviously from what I know you in to what you're doing now is very, not that it's super different, but it is a little different.
Yeah. We met at Channel 7. We both worked at a TV station, and I knew your father very well. You know, he's a photographer like myself. And yeah, it was funny when I first met you. I was just like, wait, you were like, oh, I know you. And I'm like, what? How do you know me? And then you're like, oh, my dad. So,
well, I didn't even know that you were a cameraman for the longest time. I just knew you as the guy who did all those movie reviews.
yeah, a lot of people do that. It's funny when I meet people out on the street from other TV stations. I'll show up to a scene when I'm not doing what I normally do. I'll show up to a scene and they're like, are you going to do a movie review? Like they forget that I actually started out, or I am a videographer. But
yeah, you just do that on the side. That's the fun stuff.
I was doing movie review. Gosh, I was doing movie reviews for 20 some years. You know, I started out at Whammy down here in Miami. I don't know if you're too young to remember Whammy.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't sound like anything I've heard of.
Oh no, there was a TV station down here called Whammy, and I was a photographer there. And it was funny. I was doing something in front of the camera one day, and I was being me, being a little goofy, and the GM saw it. Actually, make a long story short, I was actually doing something for them on camera, and I was being goofy, and the GM of the TV station was like, "What does this guy do? Where'd you get him?" And they were like, "Oh, he's a photographer." And then so my boss came down and said, "We want you to be a movie critic. We're looking for a movie critic. Go review a movie, and we'll see how it goes." And then it began. That's how it started.
And endless fans. You get stopped on the street all over Miami.
No, nobody knew who I was. Nobody knows who I am. I'm a sad, sad state of affairs here. But I moved to LA. I actually was on a nationally syndicated show doing that.
Oh, wait, before you did Channel 7?
Yeah, way before Channel 7, I started out at Whammy, and then that show was getting canceled. So my boss, who put me on TV, was starting a show out there. It was called National Enquirer's Uncovered, and it
Hmm.
had nothing to do with the magazine except for the last 5 minutes. They had someone from the magazine, whatever. So I got to go out there. They pulled a dump truck of money at my house, and I couldn't refuse. And I was getting married at the time, and I didn't even ask. You would ask your fiance.
Yeah, that's important.
But that was one of those things. It was like one of my dreams. I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm going to be on TV. Like, what are you crazy? I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to be on a nationally syndicated show. My parents could watch me in Maryland, and so I was like, and then that show got canceled.
So your
Oh,
dreams were broken.
yeah, no, LA is. I got to. I don't know if you've ever been there. Um,
Yes, many times.
yeah, it's one of those places. It wasn't for me. For one, I know it's hard to see it right now because I am kind of I'm like really handsome now that I'm getting older. But back then, I the goofy spiky hair. I had this little furry thing to hang down. I was wearing like bowling shirt. I looked like Guy Fieri, but 20 years too early.
Oh my gosh.
So I
I need
would
to
go
see a
on.
picture of this.
Oh my gosh, I gotta find them somewhere. But I used to go on auditions after auditions. They've got to be around here somewhere. I'll get you one. So they that was my headshot. I had this stupid little thing. I had this shirt with these dragons coming up.
Shut up.
It was horrible. Spiky hair when I had hair. Um, but now an Adonis. I digress. But yeah, that show got canceled and I just couldn't get a job out there. So I looked at my wife at the time and I said, let's go back to Miami and I'll just be a photographer.
So, was that your dream to be an actor? To be on TV on the big silver
Y-
screen?
yes, yes and no. It's an interesting question. I studied theater in college and I knew that this wasn't ever going to be famous. Um, it,
Please.
my money maker. Um, but I wasn't good. I was really really loved it in college. It was like one of those things like you're going to give me credit to act like somebody else. This isn't gonna. I didn't think this was gonna fly. I wasn't very good. But when it did happen, yes, that was my dream. Like I was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna be on TV.
Well, then did it break your heart a little bit when you had to kind of give it up because the show got canceled and you decided to move to Miami? Did that feel almost like, okay, I'm closing that chapter, moving on to something else?
Yes, it was heartbreaking. I did get in a little funk because I was unemployed for like 8 months, and that was hard. I was watching my now ex-wife, but I was watching her do like these menial jobs just to help pay the bills, and I was like in a real bad. I guess you could say I was. Now I look back at it, and I'm in therapy now. That's another story, but there was depression. I guess you could call. I was a little depressed, and I didn't think like going on all those auditions really. It's a gut check.
Mm-hmm.
You're
A lot
you
of rejection.
Yeah, you tell like I was the guy. Like I was getting free desserts at restaurants. Like I'd go into a sushi bar down the street from my house, and they were like Johnnie U. Like all the chefs would just say that when I walked in. It was really neat that like I had this little smidgen of fame,
Mm-hmm.
and it got squashed. So it was a real gut check, and then it was like, you know what, not going to happen. Let me go back to doing what I'm doing. I'm good at that. I like it. I like being a photographer. So yeah. And then I came to Channel 7.
I'm sure it must have felt nice then when Channel 7 asked you to do the movie reviews too. Because it's almost like, okay, well, I got to have a little bit of both worlds.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I like the creative side of it. It wasn't for any kind of fame. It wasn't for because I didn't have any, and it wasn't seriously doing it part time. It was nobody knew who the hell I was, but it was that creative outlet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that it was mine. You know, when I work for a station and you work for with another reporter, you kind of collaborate and do your thing with them. But the movie reviews at the time were that was my baby, and nobody really told me, you have to take this out or you have to do this or say it like this. It was like I just handed it over and it aired. So, and it was that beautiful creative thing that I could sit back and just be the goofiest thing I could be and inform people about the movie. That
Your
was one,
honest opinions.
that was one yeah, that was one of my ex-boss, a friend of mine. She said you can do whatever you want, be as goofy as you want, but at least have some kind of information.
That
And
is really nice to have a boss like that. And I know that I don't know if it's still the same, but my experience at WSVN was probably where I had the absolute best coworkers and managers. I
yeah,
loved everyone there. I feel like it was very, I don't know, just easy to be yourself and easy to pitch things. I never felt like I was not respected or like my opinions didn't matter. And I haven't experienced a lot of that much after that.
yeah, it's a really great place. People have asked me why haven't I left because for X, Y, and Z reasons. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's first off, now I've been there for 22 years. I'm there, man. I've got less years in front of me than behind me, and or I got more years behind me than in front. Whatever. So it's one of those like, but it's family. It's family, and everybody respects everybody there. So that was a
Yeah.
lot of fun there. It was great to do those movie reviews when I got to do them. It was part
Why
time.
did that stop?
COVID,
Oh,
and COVID was actually like the catalyst for me wanting to quit that. I was near the end before COVID. I was doing it just for the money, just for that extra little bit of a scratch that I would get for it. And they were so few and far between that I stopped having that passion for it. It was like it ran its course. I did it at
yeah.
Whammy, I did it out in LA, and then I did it here for many moons. And it was one of those things like I did one after COVID at the end of COVID and one in 2021. And then I was just like, they would ask me if I wanted to do another one. And I was like, I think I'm good. You know, it,
You know though, that's really nice that they're giving you the space and like you get to tell them yes or no.
yeah,
You
because it
kind
was
of
part
get to
time.
dictate them.
So, but they keep bugging me. They've actually asked me last week if I would do one. They were like, could you just do one a year? Like, could you do Beetlejuice?
That sounds fun. You don't
Maybe,
want to though?
maybe. Again, I just there's an age limit too. I mean, I know I'm not aged out because mentally and the way I act, as you've known me, I'm not the most mature 52-year-old man alive. But it's
But that's
maybe
what keeps you young. I think that's what's necessary to not age yourself, you know? You don't want to be 70 and using a walker. You want to be the guy that's still mountain biking when he's pushing 80 and like,
yeah,
"Oh shit,
yeah.
grandpa's cool as fuck."
Look at that, man. That dude's bald. And he's got his socks up to his ankle or his knees, and he's still short. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to say I aged myself out in that, but it was starting to not feel right.
Yeah.
There's a certain thing inside you. I don't know what it is, but I think you need to reinvent yourself every now and then. And it was one of those also where, and I don't want to say anything bad about the station or the show that I was on, but it was really becoming like, I'm like, do we got a movie this week? And then there wasn't, and I'm like, there's a movie out every week in my head. It's like it was like once a month. So the passion started fading when it became less,
Mm,
and then I
yeah.
got pulled. I'm get fired. Um, I,
I can cut it out.
well, no, I'll be honest. Like there were some things that I was I did I started not doing the interviews with the celebrities anymore, and there were certain things that I just didn't do anymore. that I kind of like doing. And but they have a reporter for that, so I understood my position that I was the movie critic and blah blah blah. And I yeah, it just I felt like I needed to reinvent myself because I was kind of getting burned out. It was just like filling in the blanks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever gotten that. You're so young. You probably I don't know if you've gotten that far in life, but the scripts, the jokes, the bits, the everything. It was like same thing. Insert bit here. Same thing. Insert. So it started getting stale to me, and I think that's when you need to know when it's time to go. Kind of like I don't know, nowhere near Seinfeld, but that's like big shows. They know when to step away.
Yeah. Well, some, not
Yeah,
all of them.
so, but I felt it was time to step away, and COVID was a great way to go. Okay, it's done. I
Well,
had
yeah, I spoke to someone, a guest that on the episode that just aired today, actually. She mentions like our goals and what we want to do in our career thing, like they're changing constantly. So it's okay if what you're doing today is not what you like to do in 5 years, and that's fine. That's why we can't tie ourselves to our career because it's so flexible.
yeah. You got to know, and there's been times where I've even just with my regular job, being a photographer, not even that long ago actually. Um, we had gone through a couple producers that are now not there, but um, it was getting to the point like they were not. I'll say it, they weren't that good. It was getting really bad, and I was actually kind of considering leaving and moving on because I am again less years, more years, whatever. And it was it was you sit back and you're like, I've got friends that are doing less work now. They're getting older. They're getting
Mm-hmm.
paid more and they're doing less. And it's like, okay, do I want to be carrying this huge camera around? As I'm getting older, do I want to? But again, I love what I do. It's really weird, but I love doing what I do and what what I do. But I don't want to say names or anything. But we help people, and
Yeah.
that really that's a lot. That feels good.
So you're done with these movie reviews,
Mhm.
but when does your podcast come about? Was that during COVID? Was that in the last few years? Like, what's the
That
timeline there and why?
was it 2021? I'd have to go back. Um, was it 2021? I think it was September 2021. Yes, 'cause I'm going on 2.5 years now. I think the math works out.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it's a hobby, but it was one of those where during COVID we couldn't move around the station. You were stuck in your office if you weren't out shooting, getting COVID
Hmm.
from everybody you're interviewing. And so, really, seriously, I mean, it was really weird. Like everyone's like, "Oh, I'm working from home," and I'm, "What? You're doing what? I got to go to work." Um,
Yeah.
so I stuck in again. I'm going to get fired. Stuck in the office. I start watching YouTube a lot. It's time killer in between shoots. So I see all these. I can't ride mountain biking here because Miami Dade closed
It's
all
flat.
the parks. Well, no, we've got tons of mountain biking here. It's just it's all the parks are closed because
Oh.
you know when you mountain bike, you're right up in someone's face. There's no. It was we called it COVID logic. There,
Yeah.
you guys could walk up and down on the Rickenbacker Causeway, two
But you
feet
can't be on a
from each
mountain
other, but
bike.
you can't be on a mountain bike or on a golf course where the next person is 100 yards away. Anywho, I digress. I got really into watching these mountain bikers, and they were like celebrities. I had no being an older person and just finding YouTube, if you will. Um, it was really interesting to me. I was like, there's some celebrities. There are people living off this. I had no idea. And with my background as an entertainment reporter, um, what do you call it? I go, I can interview these guys. How hard can this be? I've interviewed Hugh Jackman,
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence, Robert Downey Jr. I can. It's a mountain biker, but as you may know or not know, uh, YouTube is hard to break into.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came home. I remember coming. I remember this so well. My mother-in-law and my wife are downstairs doing whatever, and I said, I've got an idea, and I threw the paper down. I drew a, a chain ring with MTB Q&A in it, and well, what is that? And I go, I want to start a podcast. I thought I had lightning in a bottle. I did. I thought I had lightning in a bottle. I was like so amped up. I was like, I want to do this. I want to interview these people. I'm thinking, how hard is YouTube? I've been on
Yeah.
national television. Don't tell me I can't YouTube.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
It's
Two and
very
a half years.
different.
I just broke 500 subs.
Ooh, congratulations.
I don't have the watch hours because it's a hobby. Um, Anywho,
Wait,
um,
but are you on Spotify too? Yeah, right?
yeah, I'm on spot. You can find Mountain Bike Q&A on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon. Um,
Amazing.
it's a lot of fun. But so I had my producer, her brother did graphics at the time, and I said just keep a chain ring with Mountain Bike MTB Q&A in it. And it took me a while. Microphone, lights, just camera. I was zooming. I did it on
Mm-hmm.
Zoom. I didn't go live until after my first year. Um, but
Going live scares me, so good
that
for
was
you
my
for that.
reinvention. I needed that creative outlet, and it's funny looking back on it now, and I talk about it a lot in my podcast because I talk to some. I don't talk to your bigger YouTubers, if you will, and I don't want to keep any of these guys are out huge to me. These stickers in the background, they're all people that I've interviewed. Um, it, it was so my train derails, but it's fine because I'll get there. Um, I didn't know how to be. You know what I mean? Like I was this goofy movie critic, but now I'm in a different realm. So reinventing myself wasn't just podcasting and interviewing. It wasn't just interviewing. It was finding out who I was and how I fit in this little niche of a group of people. And that was really the learning curve that I had with that. I didn't know you could be goofy. All these mountain bikers were like, "What's going on, man? Let's go shred. Let's go send it." And I'm not making fun of you guys if you're watching it because I love it. But that wasn't me. I didn't know if there was goofy was allowed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
reinventing yourself at 50 was really really interesting for me. It was a really interesting time, and I didn't really have to reinvent. I just got back to where I was and
That's
who.
what I was gonna ask. Do you feel like it feels more authentic to who you are?
Oh, you have no idea. It feels so good to be embraced, if you will. And I love this community so much, and they've given me so much uh, to be able to be who I really am.
Yeah.
It was funny. I remember I was just talking about this last night to the guys that have a pod. I was doing a podcast last night with some guys that also have a podcast. It was like podcast inception, like this. And I would my first tease. Oh, there we are. Um, my first tease that I did. Hey folks, Johnnie U here, about to go see a blah 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 movie, and I'd pop up and I'd be so animated, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know if that was legal in the mountain biking world. And I remember I had a polo shirt on.
That's not you. You in a polo?
Yeah, I had a polo shirt on. I even did my first interviews with like my hair done up or what, it was just, but I didn't realize. And then I was like, hey folks, Johnnie U here from Mountain Bike Q&A. Tonight on the show. And it was like, that is not me. And it took me like 5 or 6 of those to go, you know what? That is not me. Break free. Be who you are. Be authentic. Are they going to like it? I don't know, but I can't keep doing what I'm doing because it's not me.
What was the moment that switched for you that let you feel like you can be there?
I don't know if it was oh God, I'd have to go back. I really think it was my fifth or sixth interview, and I was interviewing another podcast. Yeah, I interview other people other than podcasters. It sounds like a podcaster. Um, he gave me some pointers. He's, if you will, he is the mountain bike podcaster, and I had him on my show. And afterwards, he was giving me some advice about length of it, and questions and stuff like that. And he didn't tell me to be me, but that's kind of it. Kind of hit me.
Mm.
It's like, do what you want to do. It's kind of what he was telling me. He was like, do what you want to do. Don't follow anybody. Don't try to fit into some little peg, whatever. Fit into some. That was you cut that. But don't try to fit into where you're not. Like, and it hit me when I teased his interview. I did the Johnnie U thing. I
Mm.
popped up into the camera and I was energetic and I goofed. I joked about his name and he has a tagline and I kept jokingly messing up his tagline. And I'm like, that felt so real. That felt so good to me to be who I really am. And this is weird. Like I'm getting all deep and stuff. You're pulling out stuff out of me, girl. But it's
That's
fun.
what this
It's
is
actually.
for.
I got to tell you though, this is from talking bikes and stuff. Doing this kind of podcast. It's so. This is freeing.
Good. I'm glad.
Therapy. I don't think I need to pay my therapist next week.
Just come, yeah, just come talk to me.
Boom.
Air it out on the internet.
Oh, and it's been such. It's been so good. This community, this mountain biking community, has really. Even my first interview is with this guy Joshua. Who, we all have these goofy names. I'm Mountain Bike Q&A, and this is the first time I'm ever actually wearing this shirt. How would you?
Ooh, looks
I'm wearing
good.
a shirt with my own face on it. How
That's when you
ridiculous!
know you've succeeded.
Yeah,
That's
you wear
peak.
your own shirt. But it's it's so. Oh, it was Joshua. Joshua from Chicken Sendies. I reached out to him because I realized once you start, you're like, oh, now I need interviews.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm starting to realize I have no subscribers except for my mom and my wife. And they're going to look at this and go, why would I want to do this
Yeah.
if nobody's watching? And so I made an intro. What do they call those in the front of your page? The first video people see on my page. And it was a whole video of I'm Mountain Bike Q&A. Uh, I love mountain biking. I show me biking poorly like I do, and then but I was also an entertainment reporter. I show me with all these celebrities because I didn't want them to think that I was like some little kid that was like fanboying.
Mm-hmm.
Like to interview you. I wanted to let them know that I was kind of legit. So my first interview was a guy goes, dude, you interviewed Wolverine. Yes, I'll be on your show. So I've always been very gracious for everyone who has been on my show. And I've had last night was 65 episodes
Wow, and that's amazing.
to,
I mean, I was really hesitant to even start too, because the same thing. Like, who's gonna want to say yes to this if I have 5 followers on Spotify and like 10 views on YouTube? Who's gonna want to do it? But what I've been finding, especially as I do more interviews, is that people really like the space to share their stories. That there's not really an outlet, because no one wants to go and write on Facebook like, "Oh man, this is the trauma I've been dealing with." But they do want to talk about it. I mean, I think that's why therapy has become so important to at least my generation, and I'm sure your generation. And people just do need to express their feelings and what they're grateful for, what they've overcome. And this space was, I did this as an outlet for me to get therapy, to talk to friends and share their stories, so that someone listening doesn't feel so alone. But I feel like it ends up being a mutual experience for the guests too. At
yeah,
least I hope.
yeah. I've listened to your reasoning for wanting to do that. You're kind of like me. You needed that creative
outlet.
outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you love telling stories. You love hearing stories. You love hearing from other people, and that's what's fun about this. And I hope. Well, you're gonna get there. But it's a slow burn. No one tells you that. You're thinking, oh, been doing TV for 25 years. YouTube. I'm gonna be like Mr. Beast soon. What is this?
That guy is insane. I don't know his origin story, but the fact that he has food, he has I don't even know the extent of everything that he has, but this man has blown up. That Mr. Beast guy is doing it right.
He's like the modern day Willy Wonka right now. He's got a chocolate
Yes.
factory. It's stupid.
That's a fantastic way to put it. But I was going to say, when you were talking about like coming into who you are and feeling like you could be yourself on your podcast, I mean, who I see you as, especially when you were doing those movie reviews, you're the most authentic, extroverted, fun, goofy, nice person that I've like. You just look at, I mean, within 2 seconds of talking to you, I think anyone can recognize that. And I think that's part of what makes you not only good at what you do, but why so many people gravitate towards you. I think you're just a really great human, and you just doing this in this new space and feeling like you're embraced by the mountain biking community. I mean, you'll be embraced by any community.
I appreciate the kind words. And I'm learning that. A lot of people are telling me that I need to embrace the compliments. One mountain biker says, Johnny, just take them.
It's hard. It's hard to do.
Yeah, I always tell them, I tell people when they compliment me, I say, shut your mouth while you're talking to me. But I'm learning to accept it, and I appreciate that. I was born with this face. I can't help it. Uh, it's goofy as hell, and I guess I've embraced it. I've embraced it, and I enjoy making people happy.
Hmm.
And
It's very clear.
it's fun. Like, and with the mountain biking stuff, and I don't I know you do the podcast thing, but and like me, but I also get to do the shorts and the reels.
Hmm. I
Where
hate that part. I hate editing it.
oh, and as a hobby, I don't have the time. I don't. It's so hard, but every now and then I'll get something in my head and I'll make a goofy reel. And I realize that you can do that because I've noticed now a lot of other mountain bikers do comedy. I was like, oh, okay, this is legal now. But
I don't think it was ever illegal.
yeah, I just didn't know how it was going to be. It was going to be received. Um,
Yeah.
are you liking this?
Yeah.
Isn't
I
it?
mean, so I was editing when I was at Channel 7, I was an editor and I hated it because I
Yeah.
used it, I did it as a means to become a better producer,
Oh,
to learn that side. But I didn't like being stuck in a room, being glued to a computer. So what I like about this program is that it creates little reels for me. And all I have to really edit are like the things that I'm cutting out because they're like, off the record topics. But
yeah.
everything else is pretty much just already done, which I don't know if it's probably to my detriment that I don't put more effort into that.
So Riverside will do the reels for you?
Yeah, it generates magic clips of like highlighted moments from the show.
Oh, see, I have to do that myself when I do those.
Well, I'm sometimes having 3 hour long conversations. I'm not gonna like it already takes me forever to cut out the unnecessary stuff. I
Yeah.
don't want to sit there and have to, I mean, maybe that's me just being lazy,
Yeah.
but
I actually, when I do mine, and I'll look up at the clock when I see I have a moment where I know there's a moment or a funny moment or a serious moment. I mean, I've talked about suicide on my channel. I've talked about loss of children. I've talked about cancer. It's amazing what you can get out of mountain bikers. Uh, Anybody. I think that's what's
yeah.
great about this. What we're doing here is that people want to tell their story. I normally
Hmm.
don't. I'm amazed that I've been talking like this for this long, but yeah, and there's these little moments, and I'll just look up at the clock, and I'll make a
Hmm.
mental note that it was an hour and 15 minutes in, and
Yeah.
that's when I know how to make the reel. But that's another. I mean, you've had what, four?
5 have been uploaded, but there's 3 that I have to edit.
Oh wow, man, you're full steam.
I'm trying to do it in the free time because luckily I am getting some freelance work, and that freelance work, I mean, it takes up all of my time. So I can't really do it during that time. So anytime I'm free, I start scheduling people.
Oh, that's awesome. I usually ask somebody like, and that's what's great about this again with the mountain biking community. And let's go back a little bit about me mountain biking. I live in Miami. Um, we're not no like people go mountain biking in Miami. Yes.
I will tell you that that's one of the reasons that Blaze was so hesitant to even think about moving to Miami, because he's like, what am I going to do? Ride on a little 2-foot hill? Like, I need mountains.
Yeah.
And yeah, he never rode any of the trails down there, so I think he would be surprised. But
No, it's very technical. They're very unless, and I've actually stopped riding some of the trails because they're so difficult.
oh wow,
And I don't have a riding buddy right now. He passed away last year, and
oh, I'm sorry.
oh no, it's fine. But it's just funny. It's like when you ride by yourself, you like question. You got that little like, should I be doing that? It hurts because I did have a really bad accident last year, and it was like getting old hurts, man.
Is that one that you showed me? That you got like a stick on your side?
Yeah, yeah, that hurt bad, man. That kind of that was a gut check with the age thing, but it is different
Yeah,
mountain biking here. I've been able to travel because of what I do. I've made and I wish this for you as well. Um, I have made so many friends
oh,
doing this. It is ridiculous. And that's I think that's my wife says this podcast thing is my therapy is because I've been able to connect and
yeah.
make friendships. Am I a great mountain biker? No. But you don't have to be great at something in order to love it.
Yeah, and people want to share what they're passionate about with other people who are also passionate about it.
Yeah, mountain bikers call it sharing the stoke.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that. That sounds so surfer
Yeah.
lingo.
But we're stoked. We're so stoked. But I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, there's this right here. I got it. I actually have to hook you up with this guy. This guy Adam Mock, who actually, this is how great this community is. I interviewed him. We back and forth talking, yada yada yada. He's a really great guy, friend of another friend. One day he emailed me or texted me because now I'm texting people now. Now it's we'll go back to this. And he said check your email, and I checked my email, and he made my logo. I just had a
Oh,
cheesy little chain ring with some really bad lettering. I just needed something to start.
yeah.
Um, advice from somebody. I don't know if you remember. Did you work there when Chris Van Vliet worked there?
Yes,
Yeah,
of course.
a very very successful podcaster. And something he says always stuck in my head is the best time to do something is now. It's like or the best when's the best time to plant a tree? 100 years ago. When's the best time to plant another tree? Right now.
Hmm.
It's weird saying or whatever. And it's like I just wanted to get it done. So I had this really cheesy logo, whatever. So Adam Mock had made me this, and I'm like, I barely
Sick.
know you. And I said, what do I owe you? I texted him back. I said, what do I owe you? I can Venmo. And he goes, no, dude, just just keep doing what you're doing. I love your attitude. I love your what you're doing. I love what you're bringing to the community. And I was getting all like choked up.
Wow,
I
yeah,
was
that's
like, man, this guy
beautiful.
took time. This isn't something he slapped together. And then the next day he texted me and said, check your email. And I'm like, what are you sending me now? And it was my podcast background because I have
Oh,
a tag
cool.
out saying that says, go get your bikes dirty.
Mm,
And it says mountain bike Q&A up top with my goofy little face up there. And on the bottom, it says, go get your bikes dirty. And I'm like, come on, this
wow.
stupid. So
So like I think that's so. cool. But like going back to what you were saying that Chris had taught you about just start with what you have. That's kind of what I was telling myself too. Like I'm in a rental that we're living in. I hate this background. What I would love to do is to be sitting down in a nice studio space in person with the guests, and hopefully one day I can get there. But like I created the logo on Canva using a photo of me that I just turned black and white, and I don't have a tagline. I don't have anything that's cool. But I feel like as I'm doing more episodes, it's feeling a little more natural, and it's turning a little bit. At the beginning, I felt I mean I could be completely wrong, in just having a different perspective on it, but at the beginning I felt like I was just trying to hear the other person's story, and in a lot of the stuff that I produce, I'm not allowed, my voice can't be heard. Like I have to ask the question and stay quiet, let them answer in a complete sentence and move on. But in this space, I want it to be a conversation. I think it's more enticing when you can hear an interruption or a follow-up question that like kind of overlaps. And I think I'm getting a little more comfortable with that now, and I'm excited to see the evolution of it. And like hearing you say how much yours has changed from the beginning to now
Oh
episode
yeah.
65.
Well, we're
I mean, I'm okay with this slow burn.
yeah, and it is a slow burn, and I think it's interesting what you just brought up is we are so trained to not be in it, and
Mm-hmm.
I've learned that because I even when I interviewed celebrities, I was in it because I wasn't a good interviewer, but I know I could be somewhat entertaining. So the interview wasn't great, but I could make it something fun to watch by being me,
Mm-hmm.
even if it was cringe moments for the celebrity. There's quite a few. My wife likes to prank. Yeah, there are some very cringe moments I made. Uh, I'll bring one up, but we're so conditioned to here's the questions, and it is a back and
Mm-hmm.
forth, but you do have little like let's touch on this, let's touch on this. I don't have any questions when I do, and but when I first did it, I never had questions, but I knew I asked and
Mm-hmm.
asked. Yeah, so and now it's more like, hey man, we're just chilling.
Yeah, yeah. We're just two friends catching up.
We're just some people. That's what's great about this podcast realm. And I never listened to a podcast. I thought I was going to be the first. I did. I didn't knew nothing about podcasts. I mean, I knew people did them, but I never Googled or went onto YouTube and said mountain bike podcasting.
Mm.
I thought I was like, this is it. What a cheesy name I got. MTB Q&A. It's mountain biking and it's questions and answers. That's it. I wasn't going to get all fancy. I'm like, I just want to get it out there. And the next thing
Yeah.
I know, I did YouTube it, and I'm like, son of a late to the game.
Hey, but that's almost better because it gives you that confidence to feel like I am number one. I am a pioneer in this. And whether it works to your advantage or not, I think it helps you mentally at least to not feel so like, who the hell is going to listen to my podcast when there's so many ones out there, which is how I felt at the beginning. I'm like, who's going to care? Like, no one's going to listen to this. But what I'm trying to accept is that there's enough slices of the pie to go around for everyone.
Yeah,
So,
I don't. And reaching out, I don't know how you reach out to people. Um, but I had like a form letter. I just changed the name. Like, hi,
really?
I'm a mountain biker from Miami, a former entertainment reporter. Uh, I just want to let you know that I'm just not some fanboy that wants to talk to you. Stupid stuff like that. And it was like, now it's gotten to the point where a week before I want to do one, I'll DM somebody. And they're like, yeah, man, I'd love to.
But I think that's what's good. I think most people are willing to say yes nowadays because the podcasting world doesn't seem too invasive or
Mhm.
too complicated to make it work, but also it's another outlet for them to kind of share whatever they want to share. I I don't, where was I going with this?
Like me, train derailed.
I think I was just gonna say that I reach out to people and I just send them a message. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing. We'd love to have you on. let me know if you're available, if you're willing to talk. And for the most part, everyone says yes. Or and after I get them on, then they recommend a friend of theirs that they think would be perfect for it. So it's been a lot of positive feedback. But I also haven't been reaching out to, any celebrities out there. Just
I don't. It's funny. I don't think you need to. I think the realness of what we do here in this space is letting the real person that doesn't have a publicist, just let them be them, and
mm-hmm.
let them talk. And with what you got going on here, I was I joked. I said she's got a podcast, Searching for Success. Maybe she bringing me on because I'm still looking for it. You know, she wants to have somebody who's still searching for it. I don't know. I
Well, but Johnny, that's what the whole point of it is, that we're all
we're all,
constantly searching. What our idea of success is changing with us.
yeah.
And that's a question that I ask almost every person: is what does success look like to you now versus 5 years ago,
Oh,
and why has it changed?
that's a tough one. Do people just right off the cuff answer that?
No, they usually are like, "Oh man."
It's a tough one because 5 years ago, I mean, if you were to ask me this question now, I've been successful. I mean, and not career wise. I learned a long time ago that my career it's a paycheck. It's something that
Mm-hmm.
I love doing. I'm not going to downplay it. I love doing what I do, or I wouldn't be doing it. But my success is having the most incredible woman as a wife that loves me probably more than I could ever return. It's weird. It's you've probably seen her. You look at her,
Yeah, no, she's a freaking rock star. I don't know
you
how
look at the two
what
of
she
us,
saw in
and
you.
you're like, yeah, that's what everyone says.
I'm just
You look at us, and you're like, how did he pull that? I've got two loving dogs. I have my in-laws that I love dearly. I have my family that I love dearly. I've got great friends. I live in a house that I never thought I could live in a house like this. It's just in a place that I'm working on. I'm in therapy. It's so success and is I've been there. I've been there, and I feel like I'm there. But there are things I think as a person, we're always working on ourselves.
mm-hmm.
The success thing, I got there. I far exceeded anything I've ever dreamed of as a kid, or anyone probably thought that I would be, or where I would be. But as a person, we're always working on ourselves. I don't know if I'm ever going to be successful on me. Like I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. We're always a work in progress. We can always be better, and
Oh,
that's where
100%.
my therapy is. I started therapy about 2 years ago, and
Oh yeah?
yeah,
What got you into that?
uh, my wife kind of COVID really messed me up. I think it brought out a lot of anxiety over the year, and
Mm.
my anxiety started getting worse and worse and worse. And it turns out that I have ADHD, which I knew I had something, but when you don't address it and you don't understand the actual, yeah, I was a kid, I had ADD or ADHD. It was a thing. It
Mm-hmm.
was like back when I grew up, there was no kids that were on the spectrum. They were just that kid. You know what I mean? And I don't want to downplay it to anybody, but growing up, I'm 52 years old. Back then, it was different. So,
Yeah, there wasn't as much awareness,
yes, I
you
wasn't
know?
aware of what ADHD or whatever does to you. But now that it's a thing and I'm seeing therapists, I'm like, oh, that's why I'm that way. That's why I'm an ass sometimes. That's why I get angry at people sometimes. That's why I get impatient. That's why I lose control. That's why and it's like, oh my God.
Out of curiosity, and you don't have to tell me, but is your therapist a psychoanalyst?
Yes, and you leave this stuff in. This is all raw. This is real. I don't. I'm an open book when it comes to this. I talk about therapy in almost every one of my podcasts. Um, yes, she does. She does. And what I love about this is she helps me get there. Like a lot of people are like,
Mm-hmm.
why does she give you a magic pill or tell you what you're supposed to do? My therapist helps me realize. She'll ask the right questions to help me get there, and I have these epiphanies, these moments, and I go, "You just earned your paycheck today." You I have to pay out of pocket for this lady. Um, but yeah, you find out that a lot of stuff in your childhood is who you are today. And I've gone through some stuff. I won't air all that laundry, but there's things in my childhood that helped me that who I am today. And you think that as an adult, you were just like, oh, I went through some whatever and I made it out and I'm fine. But then you realize why you're acting the way you are is because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of dismissed it. I never had the emotions for it. I just kind of like laid it down. It was back there. I never showed any kind of emotion for it. So it was interesting to now we're learning for me. This is so weird, man. I usually talk about mountain biking and stuff like that. Now I'm talking about what's going on with me. And it's fun. I love this. This is what's great about this. But who I am and all that stuff was from my past, but I've never learned to show emotion. I'm not a crier. I'm a goofball. So all that other stuff, those emotions, I've suppressed them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
My
even
boyfriend's the same.
I'm not even good when people cry. If my wife cries or friends cry or somebody cries, I panic. I don't know how to deal with it. So
Have you seen a shift in that since you've been in with that therapist?
yeah, yeah, I actually have. I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
52 years of who I am and trying to learn different things. But yeah, it's therapy's great, man. I recommend it for everybody. You got heart issues, you go to see a cardiologist. You're fat, you go see a dietitian. You got issues with your head, you see a therapist, man. Do it. It's only good for you. No
Well,
bad
I'm
outcomes, I
curious.
don't think.
I agree completely, but what I've noticed is that a lot of the older generations, you know, they tend to never have that kind of thinking towards therapy. It's something that's relatively new. So I'm curious what your upbringing was regarding that topic. Like, were you told that people who go to therapy are just nut jobs?
Yeah,
They don't know how to
yeah.
figure out their own shit, or
Yeah, and I don't think I'm throwing my parents or any adult under the bus, but back then it was for crazy people.
mm-hmm.
It was why do you gotta see a therapist? And then you get the old people now, the same people that thought that they still to this day were like, well, now everyone's got a label.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's labeled with something. Well, yeah, because we're learning more about it. We didn't push it
Mm-hmm.
aside like we did back then. Again, the kid that was on the spectrum or who's autistic back then was that boy was a little off. And I'm not making fun of it, folks. I don't want, whatever, but
No,
that's,
no. I
that's how
think
it was.
yeah, and what I think is good about it now is yes, it may be annoying to some people that there's a name for everything, but when we can figure out what it is that's wrong, you can help make their life easier. Kids who don't not that ADHD medication is bad, but there's also other things that if a kid learns when they're diagnosed very early on that they can, utilize to have it not be as intense later on. I don't know. I mean, I'm no doctor. This is
No, but
just
yeah, but again, at 50 years old, I would come home. I'm freaking out. I was getting mad at cashiers or the lack of, and getting mad at everything. And my wife was just, I'm not a morning person. If I didn't have my coffee and I just need some time away and some just quiet time, I got dogs, I got to walk and all this chaos. And I'd come home and I'm like this. And I'm like, mother, you couldn't believe what the, my wife could. She was just like, you need help, man.
yeah.
So, but that's behind the scenes. And that's what's funny is that like everyone gets this, but behind the scenes, like there's some craziness going on, and my doctor hates me when I say crazy. It's just here. It's
But that's with everyone. I mean, the last two interviews I've done have been with friends that I met either in elementary school or in high school that I haven't spoken to in years. And both of those conversations started off with, man, the idea of who you were back then, like I thought you were X, Y, and Z. And then I'm hearing a story that they're sharing from that time, and it's, oh, I was severely depressed at that time, or I was going through this, and you never know what someone's going through. And I think this is, the more I talk to people, the more grace I have for others of, like, yeah, if the lady at the Delta counter wants to be a bitch to me, who knows what she's dealing with, like.
Well, that's true. You know, that saying is, you don't know everyone's story.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on in their life, but I'm learning. I'm becoming a better person, and I think that's back to success. I'm there. I'm
Yeah.
successful as hell. I've made tons of friends. I've got all that stuff, but success would be able to. I get what's my definition? I got to being okay with me. That would
Mm-hmm.
be good. I have my issues. I have my whatever self-deprecation and whatever I do to block things. But yeah, to be successful, and if you see on the outside, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. But and you're a great therapist now. You're pulling this out of me. And you asked the right questions. You got me there. Success would be me being okay with me, and I'm working on that. You know, I've got the self esteem issues and all that other stuff. But yeah, that would be great. But we're all a work in progress.
Yeah. I something that someone said to me yesterday was that we really need to have compassion for ourselves, for both the good things, the good decisions we make, and the bad decisions, and how we react. And like, it's all okay. We have to give ourselves the grace to understand that our emotions are raw, and with each experience that we go through, it's, to help us handle similar situations in a better way next time.
Yeah, yeah, grace.
But
I heard that
we're
word
not
a lot
perfect.
since I've been in therapy. You got to give yourself grace. Not just other people, but
Yeah.
yourself. You gotta just go. You know what? It's all right. It's
Yeah.
okay. I'm learning. Again, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, well, same here. I mean, it's been a tough year, a long journey, and on some days I'm up here and feeling good, and other days I'm right back to that day that I got let go. So
Yeah, I
it's,
saw that with you, and that's a lot, man. Especially when you're so young, and you think, I got a hold of it. My career, it's here. That was a kick, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah, it was.
And I don't
I
mean to
know
bring
that
up
I'm
bad
young.
stuff, but like, but, I mean, because I've been there with you, and it really is. It's a gut check again with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot to unpack in that, but
Yeah.
at the last job, throughout my entire career, because I'm a girl and because I look like I'm 15, or maybe not anymore, but I did for the majority of my career, no one took me seriously. I had to keep proving myself. And I told you earlier that WSBN was probably the first place that made me feel seen and that my voice mattered. And after that, it's been a constant fight, proving myself that yes, I can do this job, just give me the opportunity. And then even when I can show them that I can do it, it's like, oh, but this other person is a man and I like him better, so I'm going to put him in that
I mean,
position.
that's
So I when I was at that job, I was fighting with everything in me to get a promotion, which was long overdue. And I would still be told, prove yourself on this next show, and then I can have an argument to push for you to get that promotion.
oh,
And it just felt like this constant uphill battle that when I lost the job, it made me feel even more like a failure and just like, well, what the fuck do I have to do now? What more can I give to show that I know what I'm doing, that I'm good at what I can do, what I am capable of? And
oh,
yeah, it was just a lot.
yeah.
It
That's
was,
and I feel you on that with those auditions that I went out to when I was in LA. It's just like, what else do you need? I mean, I'm giving you my all, and it was good for a while. What do you need?
I give props to any actor though, because there's one thing to face the rejection of like all the people who sent me rejection emails in the year of unemployment, but to do that so often, and a lot of it is based on your looks, like you just don't fit this role. Like I,
Thank you. The looks thing. And that's what I love about this space. I'm
mm-hmm,
not drinking tonight, but normally I'm drinking. I got a hat on, a t-shirt, and we're just chit-chatting. Nobody's
mm-hmm.
telling me how to do anything. And when somebody tells you how to do something, give you this, get this, tell them to fuck off. I'll take you. I'll take it. I'll listen, but this is my realm. This is my world.
Mm-hmm.
I get to do what I want finally. Nobody telling me what to do. That's what's fun about this. You're gonna love
Yeah,
it. You're gonna
I'm
love it.
excited.
Yeah,
I'm loving it so far.
yeah, and don't stop. Don't stop.
Yeah,
Even if you become really, really busy with, like, this is a hobby. I do one every 2 weeks, and I'm having a blast.
I don't want to stop even if I get busy, because like I told, this is my therapy too. It's not just as a hobby. Like I need it, you know? And my friend's mom actually told me the other day, she's like, I listened to your podcast and I didn't think I would, but I connected with so much in it. Please don't stop. People need this. And I don't know how to react to comments like that. Internally, I was like, I could cry right now.
You're like, "Don't worry."
On the outside, I'm like, oh, thank you. And I just like, I don't know how to process that, because I don't think that highly of this podcast yet, but it is nice to hear that someone's getting something out of it
Yeah, and I
besides
think
me.
what you're doing is it's like I said. I don't normally unleash. I'm talking about bikes half the time. But yeah, it's great for this searching for success. Oh, I could send you all these guys.
Oh, please, if you have anyone that you think would be perfect, send them my way.
This guy.
Okay.
We'll talk after that. But I love this. I love this. I got a palette. You talk about a background. I got a palette with stickers on it, and I got some Amazon lights.
But it looks cool. It fits your vibe.
Yeah, but look at you. Yours fits your vibe. Look at this. You got
What? There's a fucking cable hanging in the middle of this lamp.
see it, but you got this beautiful lighting, this soft colored curtain. It's soothing. I feel like I'm at my doctor's office right now. It's just
You know what? That is a good perspective.
yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
very calming. It's very.
Oh,
This is all about the gnar. This is
yeah.
about the stove. No, really, I'm telling you, man, it was so great to and just to get off of the seriousness for a second. These people are great. These people are great. I have met so many. I just got back from Bentonville, Arkansas, on a mountain bike. People are like Bentonville, Arkansas. Benton-
Well, so are you going out, and like these new friends you're making, are they inviting you out to shred the stoke over there with them?
yes, I'm shredding Stoke. No, the first one I went to was the Ride and Shine ride. It's out in California at a place called Sky Park. And the guy who made that hosts this thing called Ride and Shine. I'm actually going back in July. It was last July. And you'll love this. This is why I want to hook you up with him. He is a life coach. His name's Adam Mock.
Oh.
And he's also a leadership coach. He goes and speaks to very large companies. I don't want to say names because I don't want to mess it up and say the wrong name. Very big
Mm-hmm.
companies, and he does leadership coaching. He does life coaching, but he went through a bit of a time in his life, and I don't want to tell other people's stories, but he holds this thing called Ride and Shine. We go out to Sky Park, you ride, and then you shine the light on mental health. He has
Oh,
people come
wow, I
up on a
love that.
stage and talk about their struggles that they've gone through in life. We have an interviewer, my friend, uh, my friend Mark Hill, a segment will interview them, and we all sit around and listen. And all the money that he raises from that um, goes to I forget what charity it is, but it's a mental health thing. So I went to that. I just got back from Bentonville, Arkansas, where I met up with all those guys again. A lot of these guys,
Go
what
there.
what the heck? They were at the Rod and Shine, And that was those moments where I was like, you're this guy and you're that
Yeah.
guy. And there was all these mountain bike content creators, and they're all like Johnny, and I'm handing out stickers. We're all exchanging stickers because that's what every 50-year-old man wants is stickers. My wife keeps, I'll get mail, and she's like, "You got more stickers in the mail," and I'm like, "Good, smack them up on the board." I,
It's like toy cars for little
oh
boys.
God, I've got envelopes full of stickers. I've got so
Oh
many
my
stickers.
gosh.
But yeah, and I've made all these friends. I just went to Bentonville, and all these guys were there, and other guys that I haven't met yet were there, and a lot of the big ones, big name mountain bikers. You wouldn't be like, what, big name mountain bikers? Yeah, YouTube is a thing, folks. If you haven't,
Oh, I know. I know. Blaze talks about them all the time. I mean, whenever he has free time, he's putting on a YouTube video of mountain
oh,
biking
who's his
or a
favorite?
motorcycle, one of the
Blaze.
two.
What's his favorite?
He's not here.
I'll send him a sticker of that person probably. Um, no, but yeah, it's been so much fun. Like, and
Mhm.
I don't know if this my first with the friendship thing, it threw me off. I talked about this the other day. It was this guy Mark Hill who has a podcast. It's called The Segment PR, and a personal record, I guess. The PR stands for these little segments that you ride and your personal record on it. So great podcaster. And I had him on my show. He had me on his show, and I got to meet a bunch of podcast or mountain bikers on his show. But then, like a week later, I get a call. Who's that? Hi, and it was Mark. And then all of a sudden, like a couple days later, he sends me a video of him riding. Hey, just thinking about you,
Oh,
man. Oh, I go to my wife. I'm like, this guy Mark just sent me a video.
cool.
Did we just become friends? And
You know, not to sound stupid, but it is really hard to make friends as an adult. It's so much harder than when you're in school. So I think like that doesn't surprise me because we're all trying to find those connections with people. Like I said, who are passionate about the same things as we are, and I think that's so beautiful for you. And I love seeing your mountain biking stuff and that you get to do something that you enjoy wholeheartedly that's now you can make somewhat of a profit of hopefully off of.
I've spent way too much. I'll never profit, but it is great. It is. You're right. As we get older, I mean, you're still a baby.
Yeah, maybe physically.
But as you get older, it really is hard to connect with people. And you talked about the passion. This is a passion project. I was not even a year in, I think, and I thought about quitting. I was like struggling with subs and views, and it was my buddy Mark, the guy who ended up being like a really close friend of mine. We text each other almost on a daily.
Wow.
He said, "Dude, do you have a job?" I said, "Yeah, I got a job." He goes, "Then why quit YouTubing?" He goes, "This is just a snapshot in time. It'll
Mhm.
grow. This interview here, you'll probably lose a sub, well, or maybe more. You lose more than one sub, but it grows slowly, and the views will grow. Like I'll watch one of my interviews, and it'll get like 40 interviews or 40 views over the night, throughout the night, and I'm like, well, that's whatever. And then I'll
Hey, that's good.
Yeah, it is.
Better than
But you
none.
you look at other people's podcasts and they've got 3, 400, 500, whatever, and you're like, man, I'm just barely. And then as the days and go on, it's amazing to see how they start growing and how the old ones that
Mhm.
had 0 or 4 or whatever, now they have like 100 and some. Like people will, once
Wow.
they find you, they'll start going to you and they'll start looking
That
back
makes
at
sense.
your older stuff. So yeah, it's a passion project. Like what you're
Yeah,
doing right
that's how I feel.
it's passion, man. You just love it. You love what you do and you do it. There's no end game here. It's just fun.
Yeah, yeah. There was a friend I was talking to about potentially starting it with him. And not that I don't want a stream of income from it, but I'm like, but that's not what I'm doing it for. Like, if it that comes, fantastic. But it's not. it's not what my goal is, you know? I just want it to be a safe space for people that can share their stories and can help someone not feel like they're the only ones going through a similar situation.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's really podcasting is changed me. And it's funny, the realm that we're in, a lot of people don't. I have people go, "You still doing that podcast thing?" Yeah. I've got koozies with my face on it. I've got
That's cool.
it's not cool. You just order them off of Vistaprint. It's not like they were created because I'm awesome, and people were like, you're not monetized yet," and I'm like, no, and it's not really one of those things. It's like it's not on my mind anymore. Do I look at numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, because I don't want people to feel like they're wasting their time. That's why I kind of thought about quitting at one point, because I was like, I don't want people to think like, oh, I just spent 2 hours talking to you and I got 7 people watched. Thanks for waiting.
Well, it helps when they can like cross promote, you know, because then you hopefully will get more views that way.
Yeah, they
I don't
do.
know.
That's what's great about, people don't, people are excited about being on. Like I'll promote the crap out of this. Like, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I try to help you out that helped me get my story out?
That's how I look at it.
You help me get my story out, whether somebody wants to hear it or not.
Oh man, I want people to know you. I think like you are seriously someone that I've always thought was such a great. I mean, as the producer in me was like, he's a star.
Um, She's lost me. Stop with the compliments, darn it. Not good with them yet. But yeah, it is a passion project, and it is. Somebody asked me like, "Do you not monetize?" Talking about back to the monetize, because after 500 and a certain watch hours, you can get super chats when you go live, and people can donate money to
Whoa.
you while they're in the chat, and they're like, "Oh, where's the dollar thing? I want to like give you a tip, if you will." And I
Wow,
was like,
that's
"No, I'm
nice.
not there yet, because I don't make the long form content like me riding. Nobody wants to see a mediocre rider.
Yes, they do.
I mean, I've made
At least for me, I want to see someone. I mean, okay, this is gonna sound horrible, but if someone older than me that's just starting out can do it, it makes me feel like I can do it. So not that
no,
you're just starting
yeah,
out, but like I want to see that content. There's definitely an audience for
I've been
that.
riding for 25 years. Um, but I'm never, I'm just not that good. I've never been good at football. I'm not good at sports. I was never good at skateboarding. I skateboarded when I was a kid. I was not good at it. A BMX, wasn't good at it. Look, my dad was a nerd. I was the fat kid. It's just,
Oh.
it never worked out, but I love doing it. So I've been doing it for a long time. I don't even jump my bike. When I see a jump, I'm coming up on it, brakes, and just ride over it. I don't do jumps. I'm not great, but it's so much fun, and I've gotten so much out. You're mountain biking.
Yeah, I'm not good, and I mean the first time I ever did it was at Amelia
Yeah.
Earhart, that park that's there, and it was cool. That, oh, yep, there it is. There's that sticker. But then Blaze really wanted me to do it out here, and there was this horse park by his parents' house. It's like I guess, a famous trail there, and there's some big drops and like thin little, wooden,
Wouldn't be skinny.
whatever that's
Called a
called.
skinny.
Yeah, and I only do it also on an e-bike. I don't do it on a regular one because there's just no way.
Bless you. I'm dying to get an e-bike. Uh,
Ugh, it's the best
now,
thing, especially here in Georgia. You can't go from only riding flat to now everything is a hill. I don't have that kind of
I
stamina.
don't have the lungs anymore. I'm a big boy. I always say I'm 6'1", 235 pounds. I'm not in great shape. So, uh, uh, e-bike, I could ride all day. And I rode an e-bike out in
Hmm.
Bentonville. I rode an e-bike out in California. What kind of bike you got?
It's a trek.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, his whole thing is that because he used to only do not like regular bikes, non e-bike, and people were giving him shit, I guess, on the trail, and he's like, I exert just as much energy, if not more, because now I can do more laps
Yeah.
around. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a debate out there about it,
There's a
but he
huge,
would definitely be fun to talk to.
there's a huge one. But the long format, long format content with the riding, I've done some of it. I don't know if you've seen it. You got to check it out. I did one where I got my new bike and I do the bike build. It's new bike day for me. That's a big thing with mountain bikers. I got my
Ooh,
wife in it, and it's a la Johnnie U movie review. There's
okay.
props, there's fire, there's all kinds of goofiness. I do all these little. It's just I get to be me again, and
Yeah.
it's so much fun. It's
Well, it helps you get to that point of success where you're happy with who you are. The more you feel like yourself, I feel like the closer you are to that.
love it, love it. It's so she. I'm telling you, you know what's funny about doing the live stuff is that you have all the comments, people bringing in comments, and I click them, and they go. It's a lot for my brain to be listening to the person, coming up with what I want to know and what I want to ask, and then you've got this comment section that's going on down here live. All these people are talking, and you've got to filter out whether they're talking to each other or they're
Or
asking a
you.
question. So I'm listening, doing that, but my wife is so into it. I didn't think she was going to get into it, and she loves it.
Oh.
She is. I'm mountain bike Q&A. Her handle is mountain bike TNA. She's
That hesitation.
yeah, MTB TNA, and she has gotten a following. Like people love her because she's
Oh,
just as
that's
goofy as
awesome.
I am. So in the comment section, they're all playing with my wife, which is fine because I can just focus.
Yeah.
But the live thing, you got to. It took me a year to do the live thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the life thing works for a lot of people. I just don't know if it's for
You're
this,
right.
you
You're
know?
right. Now that I'm thinking about it,
Because like there's sometimes we jump around from topic to topic, and I like not that it's very edited, but I want people to feel like if there's something that comes up that they really don't want to share, that I can cut it
yeah,
out.
that's so right. And to have it live, now you're distracting from somebody opening up. It's
Yeah,
like, oh, I
that's
was
true.
there too. You know, with mine, we're all just talking. We're all talking about the Stoke.
Well, what you're doing there is people like to feel like they're in a community, and what
Yeah,
you're doing is you're giving someone that's just watching a voice in your
yeah.
show.
So yeah,
I love
Maddie,
that.
don't do it on your show. It's too personal. It's too personal. Mine, and that's the funny thing is that you do bring people's questions in because they're taking the time to sit there for 2 hours. Some of them will stay from the
Hmm.
beginning to the end, and I'm like, don't you get out of here? I wouldn't be sitting there, but I. And it's funny when you become a podcaster. You know, I don't know if you're there yet. That's almost all I listen to now because
Yeah.
I support other mountain bike podcasters. I support other podcasters. Last night I got done mine and went downstairs and finished watching someone else's last
Mm.
30 minutes of theirs. And they're like, "Oh, Johnny made it." So
Aw, that's so
yeah, it's a
nice.
really great bunch of people here at Mount Bikers.
I love it. I love what you're doing. I think you're going to be successful in it, whether it's monetarily or just emotionally. I think this is
Oh
great.
no,
And I hope the same for me that I can keep going. Maybe I'll have you on again in 5 years when you're so famous that everyone has your sticker.
I, I success. I have been successful with this. Whether it's
Yeah, good.
monetized, it's not monetized or anything, but it's successful in the fact that I am having a friggin' blast doing it. The people that come on my show, I feel really enjoy doing it. I hope they do enjoy doing it, um, or I wouldn't have all these stickers.
But like you having that joy in this, you're already one step ahead of the game, you
Yeah.
know? Well, I appreciate you being on here. Thank you so, so much. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to
No,
share that you want to throw out into the
I
universe.
hope I gave you enough.
You gave me more than
Oh,
enough.
you're like,
I'm not looking for anything specific. No.
there's going to be a lot of editing. You gave me too much. I thought we were going to talk about 15 minutes about riding a bike and collecting stickers.
No, no, because I don't like look at the time. I'm not saying like, oh, I have to cut it off at 30 minutes. No, if people want to listen, like for me, the podcast that I listen to, if I really like it, I want it to be 4 hours
Yeah.
long because I'll stop it if I'm driving, like it doesn't matter to me. So that's how I feel. If someone's interested, they'll listen. If not,
You're gonna you're
they're
gonna lose
lost.
subs. I'm sorry. But thank you
No,
so
yeah.
much for asking me to come on. Like I really appreciate, and I'm usually on a mountain bike podcast, or I'm talking about mountain biking. For you to ask me to come on about searching for success, I got to be honest, I was a little bit nervous. Um, I mean, really, but I am. I feel successful, so that was an easy question to answer. But this really helped me open up and talk about something more than just the riding or mountain biking or where I go to do it. It was more about the feelings behind doing what I'm doing and how I got there, and
Mm.
that was really great. So thank you.